going on, folks? This is Hurt Collects Comics. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. As always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my videos. I'm back today, finally putting together my New York Comic Con haul for you. I was busy the last week or so doing things with family and whatnot. I'm currently hanging out downstairs in my basement with my son, who's playing video games on the couch behind me. And the New York Comic Con was great. It was very memorable for me for a few reasons. I had really two main objectives this year, and that was to meet Stan Lee and to also secure a particular key book without paying any cash, which I'll show off at the very end, so stick around. Also, I was, trying to get different kinds of autographs from people, one of which was this beautiful poster here from 1987, which I got autographed by Klaus Janson at the DC booth when I first got there on Friday. This is a 1987 poster from the second series for The Punisher with Mike Baron and Klaus Janson. I absolutely love this poster, and I wanted to get it signed one con before, and I ended up not bringing it with me. But I did get it signed this time. I folded it up and put it in my book bag, and I was very happy to get this autographed by Klaus Janson. Of course, the big thing that I wanted to get done was to meet Stan Lee, which I'll show you a picture of in a second. This here is the program for the New York Comic Con, and beautiful cover by Jim Lee with a homage to Wonder Woman for 75 years. So I always pick these up and try to keep a copy if I can. So I ended up having my photo opportunity for Stan Lee for Sunday, and so I ended up meeting Stan Lee, waiting in line for about an hour and going through that whole process, and it was short and sweet, but still very happy to have met him. I also paid the $10 to get the digital copy for this, thinking that it'd be nice to just, God forbid, something ever happens to this one, I've got a backup of the digital. So again, it was very nice to meet Stan Lee, one of those, cross-offs on my bucket list, and, it was he announced, months ago that this was going to be his last attendance at the New York Comic Con, so for me it was really kind of like now or never. So I was very happy to see that, and this was one of the main things I wanted to do this year. This year, I didn't really do too much back issue buying. What's nice about these conventions is that you have a lot of the publishing companies from all over the country come to this con, and so I wanted to be able to, try to get some exclusives, see, different, of the small indie publishing companies that I had on my list. And so some of the cons I went to in the summertime, I did a tremendous amount of back issue buying, and so I only bought a total of 5 books, $2 a piece from the back issues. The first one I got was this, which I read a couple of days ago. Every time I go to a con, I try to buy Marvel team-ups if I can. This one here features the cast of the Saturday Night Live. Great story with Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Jim Belushi, and the Silver Samurai, who is trying to get a ring that belongs to him that, ends up on John Belushi's finger. And Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, I should say, is attending the live broadcast of this with Mary Jane, and his spider sense starts to go off, and that's when everything starts to happen. But Stan Lee is in this as well. He happens to be the entertainment guest hosting that night for Saturday Night Live, so you see quite a bit of Stan in this issue. I also got another Marvel team-up, annual number 6, featuring Cloak and Dagger and the New Mutants. I love, Marvel team-ups because, generally speaking, they're kind of just one-shot reads. And you could read it, enjoy it, and then that's it. You don't got to chase down a million other issues. Also started collecting ROM recently. I'm really digging the IDW series. And I made the decision a few months ago that I wanted to try to put together the entire original ROM run. I believe it was a total of 77 issues, and either 3 annuals or 4 annuals. I think 3. I bought 3. If there is a 4th, I'll get it down the line. So this is ROM Annual number 1 with a nice cover by Al Milgrom. ROM Annual number 2 has a cover by Bill Sienkiewicz. I always pronounce that wrong. I have a few books from Bill to show. I'm just going to refer to him as Bill S. And then Annual number 3, another nice cover by Bill S. from 1983. So those were all the back issues that I got. And the rest of the books that I'm going to show off are really, just things that I got from visiting the other vendors. I wanted to visit a few vendors: Scout Comics, Aftershock Comics, Image, Black Mask. Black Mask Studios had a very, skimpy table. They didn't have a lot of books at all. I wasn't impressed. But I did want to get an additional reader's copy of Space Riders. I had 2 hardcovers of this book. One of the hardcovers, which was my reader's copy, I gave away to a friend to put him on to the gloriousness that is Space Riders. Again, if you have never read this series, I encourage you to do it. This is one of my favorite reads. And so I actually just read it again a second time this past week. I finished it yesterday, actually. So that was really all that I bought from Black Mask. They didn't really have much of anything else, to be honest. So I also, one of the big exclusives this year were the shiny foil cover variants from DC Comics. They were going for $15 a piece. And for whatever reason, I just didn't feel called to buy any of them. When I was at the table, I saw so many of these people who were buying them. The guy was pulling out these copies from a box. They were not protected. I saw big, huge thumbprint marks on it. Some of the covers were damaged. You could see the dings and dents very clearly. And I just wasn't interested. So they did have one gold foil variant for Doom Patrol number 1, which I thought was cool. And that was the only comic book out of all of them that came pre-polybag. So you can't tell too much from here, but inside the bag and board, there still remains the cheap, flimsy polybag that it came in. Why these big publishing companies who are trying to charge $15 for a single comic book don't take the extra step for the fans to put each of these highly and easily damageable foil variants in a cheap polybag is beyond me. But it's the least that they can do so that the fans are getting products that are not damaged. I'm not saying all books are damaged. I know a lot of guys out there got them, but I was at the table looking at what they had left on Friday, and they don't even have them on the table. They only have one book each display, and then the rest are underneath in some box. And then the guy behind the counter will give it to you. So this was the only DC one that I bought. I'm a little under the weather, too, so forgive me if I sound nasally or whatever, congested. One of my other favorite books this year, which, of course, you guys have heard me talk about, is Once Our Land. I was happy to visit the Scout Comics book booth. One of the books that I bought from them I don't have here was a small book, a comic book for my son, like a digest comic that they had, which features, the characters from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like Yukon Gold and the Abominable Snowman and the toys from the Island of Misfits. So that was a fun read for kids that I thought my son would enjoy, and that's what I bought from them. In addition to some of their exclusive, they had an exclusive for the New York Comic Con of Once Our Land, which had a beautiful, bright, colorful cover by Peter Rick. And this was absolutely stunning. So I bought 2 copies of these. You can see the small characters there. Very, very cool read with the characters from Once Our Land. Also bought a second copy of this because I only had one, volume 2 of Once Our Land. And then I also bought the second printing for volume 1 because it was a pretty cool cover. I thought that had a bunch of little cool things in there that I guess goes along with, their survival and stuff, and, just little knickknacks and oddities. So I thought that was cool. Also went to the Image table, of course. The big sketch variant this year from Image was the sketch by Capullo, the sketch cover for Reborn number 1. When I went there on Friday, they didn't have it. They said they would have more on Saturday and Sunday. I didn't attend on Saturday, but when I went there Sunday, they were all gone, so unfortunately I didn't get lucky. but I did buy one of the regular covers by Capullo just because I wanted to read the issue, hopefully at some point, so I got one of those. And then the only other exclusive that I got from Image was issue number 1 of Moonshine, which was their other exclusive. They had these left, but they didn't have any more of the Reborn. And I got this because I happened to be reading another series with Brian Azzarello, so I figured that this might be a good read to pick up. So this was from the Image booth. I also visited Boom Studios, and they had some great stuff there as well. This one is the blank, the naked variant of Warlords of Appalachia, and Appalachia, pardon. I don't know why I said that like an idiot. Warlords of Appalachia, and I ended up also having a nice conversation with the writer for this series. I believe his first name was Philip. I don't remember his last name, unfortunately, but he was explaining to me about this particular storyline as well as another one that I bought. And, I thought that this was a pretty cool cover. It takes place, I want to say, somewhere deep in Kentucky or something like that. I don't remember the actual region, but basically has to do with a group of people who have kind of, living somewhat off of the grid, perhaps, in this area of the Appalachian Mountains. So I thought this was a cool cover, and I look forward to giving this a read. Always fighting the glare. But this was a pretty cool cover, I thought. Other book that I got from them was The Spire, issue 5. Now, here's what's interesting about this. I picked up this book because I liked the cover. The cover was nice and colorful, and it looked interesting. And then when I was talking to the author of the writer of the previous book, Warlords of Appalachia, he was telling me about this and how this was a pretty good, almost like I had a fantasy kind of a twist to it. And so I bought it thinking that it was number 1, but I didn't realize until after the fact that it was issue 5. Well, I had $20 credit on my PayPal account, and I found a seller who was literally selling the entire series, issues 1 through 8, but in his ad he said all of them except he's missing issue 5. So it's as if it was meant for me to buy this series and read it. So now I've got issues 1 through 4 and 6 through 8 that will hopefully come in the next week. And then I have the complete set here with issue 5. And I paid, with my PayPal balance, so I was happy about that. Also got this here, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, crossover featuring Snake and Jake Burton. I thought this was a pretty cool cover. Shows the two of them giving a little pound here at the end. And, looked like a movie poster kind of a cover. I think this was an exclusive for the con, and so I bought that as well. And then the last one that I got was not an exclusive, but it is a variant cover by Adam Hughes. And it's got a beautiful scene with, this is a Kong of Skull Island, number 1. It's got a nice cover here of Kong. Oh, there's my son interrupting the video. Hold on 1 second. Oh, that's awesome. It's a sushi roll. Very cool. Sorry for have to engage the 4-year-old. Pardon me. So this is a cool scene where Kong is giving the business to one of the guys that he's fighting. I've been enjoying this series. I'm currently up to date on all the issues that are currently out, and it's been a fun read. Also got the artist to sign here in the top right corner, and I wanted to get Adam Hughes to sign, because it was an Adam Hughes variant, but I forgot to go see him in Artist Alley. So hopefully at some point down the line I'll be able to get Adam Hughes to sign that as well. That's all I got from the Boom Studios table. They do a lot of good comics, so I was very eager to see what they have. Also, another small indie company I was very excited to visit this year was Aftershock Comics. And the first book I got from them was Shipwreck. Unbeknownst to me, I also ended up having one ordered through my local, so I ended up giving one to my brother-in-law. And basically features a story of a guy that wakes up stranded on an island, and he is shipwrecked. So I may read this today, actually, because I'm curious to see what this is about. Looks very interesting. Our writer is Warren Ellis. Animosity. I read issue 1, and from Aftershock, I thought that it was entertaining and that it would have potential. I didn't like the subliminal messages that they had in the beginning where they were basically frowning upon eat-meters, talking about how the average human being eats about 50 pounds of meat a year. My initial reaction was 50 pounds, that's it. So, I mean, I don't like when there are certain bias agendas infused in comic books, and this people here in the very beginning are truly, trying to make it seem like, meat eaters are bad or something. But anyway, set that aside. The issue itself was pretty good, so I did buy the con exclusive. Basically, all the animals are coming to life, and some of them are, gonna try to attack humans, while the one girl that the story revolves around has a dog, and the dog is able to talk now, but he has not turned bad. He is still good in protecting his owner. So, I don't know. I got the con exclusive for this. I'm not really sure if I should have or not, but whatever. And then, other thing from Aftershock, also by artist Juan Doe and writer Brian Azzarello. They had a huge stack of these already signed by the artist and the writer, and I bought 2 copies for $4 each. In retrospect, I feel like I should have bought more. You always do that, right? You get home from the con, you're like, I should have did this, or I should have did that. But there's only so much money that you have at these things. And so I gave one to my buddy Miguel, and I kept the other one for myself. I already had a couple of number 1s, but because I saw that they were both signed, I grabbed 2 copies. And in retrospect, I probably should have grabbed a few more. So I have issue 1 of 2 of this, which I've enjoyed. And then I ended up getting this number 1 here. I got number 3, which I needed. And then I also got number 4, which I needed directly from their booth. And it was nice because my local doesn't carry any of these smaller indie companies. I have to order them in advance. So I did not, and that's why I was happy to get issues 3 and 4 from the Aftershock booth. But got that in Shipwreck, and I look forward to reading it. Trying to do this as fast as I can, which is why I'm talking quick. I also brought a few of my own books to the con. I wanted to get signed in Artist Alley. And, I also met Bill Sikenowitz. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. I got him to sign number 1 from the Elektra miniseries that he did for Epic Comics in the early 80s, or the mid-80s, I should say. This is issue number 1 that he signed. Has a beautiful cover. And, I really dig this series and the artwork. And then I also had him sign issue 2 because I absolutely love this cover with a passion. I love the detail in the man's face. I love the cigarette that he's smoking, the smoke that's trailing from the cigarette. This is a really badass cover. And so, just trying to give you a little bit of a close-up of this. Again, pardon the glare from the Mylar. But I thought that this was a pretty cool cover. Technical difficulties, sorry. And then I also got him to sign special edition from Marvel 1983 Moon Knight number 1. I have 2 and 3, but I didn't want to overdo it. I don't need him to sign every single book in my collection, but I dig this cover here. And, I was happy to meet him. Very nice man. He charged me $10 for all 3 of these signatures, Anyway. Also met Charles Soule, who I'm a big fan of as a writer. I had it in my mind to have him sign some books. I ended up having him sign issue number 1 to Daredevil and Punisher, which has been a very fun miniseries. And so he signed there right on top of the Punisher's gun, which you can't see too well, but it's there. Charles Soule. I also had him sign the other miniseries that I really enjoyed from him, which was Lando, Star Wars Lando miniseries. And, there was 5 issues. I was like, which one do I have him sign? I like this one because it had Lobo in the cover, I got also, once Charles signed it, I went over to Alexis Maleev's table, and I had him sign it as well. And the good news is that I can report exclusive, you heard it here at Hurt Collects Comics, Charles Soule has a script already in the works for Lando and a second series. I was talking to him about this. And he's got the green light, I think, from Disney to do more Lando. But him and Alexis Maleev are absolutely open to doing an additional series featuring Lando and Lobo. if you read the series, Lobo kind of gets a little banged up in this series, and he talked about how the potential storyline could be Lando entering a big sabacc tournament to try to fix and get Lobo, back in tip-top order. Because remember, Lobo, I guess, was half android. The Empire put those things on his head there. Anyway, so that's that. I really dig this cover, and so I was happy to have Charles Soule sign it. While I was at his table, I also picked up this, which he had, which is the limited edition ash can to a series that he's doing with Ryan Brown called Curse Words from Image Comics. It's signed by both him and Ryan Brown, and I bought this book for $10. It came also with a pair of sunglasses that he had, where in the shades it said curse in one eye and words in the other, and my son has actually been enjoying wearing those. So, Charles Soule's a cool writer, nice guy. And the last thing I got signed at Artist Alley, I had a lot of books that I could have had Eric Larson sign, but, there's only so many things that you can bring with you to these cons, and I thought that this was a pretty badass cover, so I had him sign a new book that came out recently with Spawn number 266. This isn't what I had in mind for a crossover, says the Savage Dragon. So I thought that this was a cool cover to have Eric Larson sign, and, it was nice to meet him as well. So this is one of the books I got autographed. Okay, in closing, like I said, the big key book that I wanted to get, I traded some slabs for this that I already had, one of which was a Conan 9.0. I had 2 of them, so I parted with one. And then also New Mutants 87, I had 2 of them. I parted with the lower grade of the 2. I kept my 9.8, and I got rid of my 9.6, along with a very low grade Neil Adams Signature Series book that I just really didn't want anymore. And I was able to procure Giant Size X-Men number 1, which was really a book that I wanted on my list. Probably, I don't know, 5.0 range. I'm not really sure. I'm going to read this one time, and I am going to submit it for pressing, cleaning, and grading with my buddy Peter over at Heroes Haven Comics in Tampa, Florida. He does a great job pressing, so hopefully once he can work his magic on this, he'll get any of the visible ding or dents out of it, and it will be something that will maybe benefit grade-wise. So I was very happy to get this. I wasn't too upset with the books that I parted with, again, because 2 of them I already had doubles, so it wasn't that big of a deal to me. And now I have an additional book that I really wanted in my collection. So this was the other big objective that I had this year for Comic-Con, and I didn't pay any cash for this. It was a deal done straight up on a trade. So very happy about that. This is my haul video for New York Comic Con 2016. And as always, my friends, I appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in. Take care.